What is going on? I'm going to take you through the song Gone by Civilians. So it's basically just a straight up punk rock song, bit of grunge thrown in for good measure. The band's main influence is 90s Silverchair, Frog Stomp era, and you'll hear why. This has got a bit of that in there, but also like a bit of the pop punk side of things going on as well. So we'll take you through the song. Here is what it sounds like. I'll just play through a chunk of it for you. Cool. So there you go. That's a bit of the track for you there. So it starts off with this intro where we've got a bit of a guitar swell. I've pitched it down and I've got transit on it here. So this bassliner preset, but I've probably adjusted it a little bit. So there's a bit of a crunch and a chorus on that as well. And I've pitched it down two octaves. And then we've got the lead. Oh, we've got some guitar swells here. Pretty cool. And then we've got a bass drop. Classic. Into this section. So as you can see, we've got some rhythm guitars. I'll show you what I've got on those. They're both getting fed to a bus, and the bus has a bit of EQ, a bit more EQ from this console, a bit of high pass filtering, and some saturation from the black box. And on each channel, they're slightly different for some reason. I think what I did, let's see, is I probably had different, yes. So if you look down here, you can see the recording chain, and I've got a different cabinet emulation on there. So on the left guitar, I've got an orange, and on the right guitar, I've got a fuchs. Is that how you say it? Fuchsias? Don't know how to say it, but yeah, so you can hear those soloed. So the idea behind that is when you put two different cabinets, but with the same guitar amp, it spreads it a little bit wider in the stereo field because they sound slightly different. But if you've got the same, well, and I've actually got different settings here on the EQ and the gain and stuff as well. So left guitar here. And right guitar. The right guitar is a bit more thrashy sounding, but before that I've got more analog saturation. So let's have a listen to that. Off. This makes it a bit thicker when you kick that in. And then overdrive pedal on both sides. I think it's the same setting. And then this EQ is to try and match the sound of that right pan guitar. Because with it off, it's a bit too different. So in Pro-Q, you can analyze the channel, and then you can get it to match EQ, and I would have reduced it overall just to keep it closer to what it was. And then what have we got? Let's have a look. Obviously bass. Let's check out this bass. Literally one plugin, FabFilter Saturn. And this is a beast. I mean, most engineers will be using this for saturation because you have a lot of control. You've got multi-band selection. You've got all these different algorithms. And I love with the bass, what I like to do is use a couple of different amps for the different frequency ranges of the bass guitar. So I'm only using a transformer and a tube on the top and bottom, but in these middle bands, I'll solo it and loop it so we can hear it. So if we solo this band, makes it a little bit crunchy, and then this middle band here, adding a lot of distortion there, and then this high mid band here. So feeding it through that amp setting, the tweed amp, and it gives it a lot of that like string clang. I'm calling it clang. So with that bypassed, let's listen to the bass guitar. So that's dry. And yeah, like I didn't use any compression on the bass guitar at all because as you can see, it's a pretty consistent level throughout the whole song. So it just didn't really need compression because, you know, when you use guitar amps, they naturally compress the signal anyway. So and yeah, with bass guitar, I always like to send it through Melodyne just to make sure that I'm hitting the notes, just like making sure that those notes are like in pitch. You get less kind of mud, I guess you could call it. Sits in the mix a bit better. If I was to turn Melodyne off, things just sound a bit out of tune, so just getting them to lock in a little bit more. After that, we've got this overdubbed guitar here. Same sort of thing with the amp sims. So as you can see here again, the recording chain, I've got two slightly different recording chains just to make it a bit wider. A little bit of EQ on each channel. Same processing there. Bit more here, and then sending it through a console to give it some character. Let's turn this console off. And on. Just brings it to life a bit. We haven't actually gone through the drums yet, so let's solo the drums. So I've got some bus processing going on. I've got this master desk, which is an interesting move because it's got some tone shaping and compression built in. I guess I just went for that and it seemed to work for this song. Let's listen to this bypassed. Yeah, I mean, that's slammed. That compression is absolutely slammed. You can set the release somewhat and the ratio. These glue and clipper modules, you can play around with them, plus and minus for the glue to get it to have more transient or less transient information, and the clipper to cut off some of the peaks. XL and THD add a little bit of harmonic distortion. And then you've got some tone shaping here, a bit more EQ. I didn't use the de-esser and the resonance filters because they significantly cut some frequencies and I don't like it. And I didn't use the high pass and low pass filters. So yeah, again, before. Pretty cool. Then some more clipping, before and after. Squashing that a bit more. This UAD analog machine gives it a lot of life. Check this out. Just brightens it up, gives it a little bit more transient information, a bit more snap. And then I just did a little bit of a bass boost here. Just felt it needed a little bit more sub. And then what do we got? Kick group. So here's a little bit of a rundown of how I like to mix drums. Kick group is the organic kick. And I'll have to solo it from here. So that's the organic kick drum. I like to have a little bit of that coming through the mix as well as the kick sample, but in this mix I primarily use the kick sample, which is this. And that would have been one of my samples that I've obtained over the years, and it's going through some EQ and some console emulation as well. Same, and with the organic kick, I've got transient shaping going on. Transient shaping and some more console emulation, so. Just making that a bit softer. Next we've got the snare drum, which is the snare sample to be specific. Would have been Addictive Drums that I use for my snare samples. Sending that through some EQ. This mag EQ compressor thing. Mag? Does anyone know how to pronounce it? Some gain reduction just using PreSonus Mix Tool, and then this Trinity shaper to get some more snap out of the snare drum. And a little bit less sustain out of it as well. And then I've got my organic snare. Same sort of thing with kick and snare, using some of the organic, meaning mic'd up snare, to keep that in the track and keep it sounding not fully like a processed drum kit. You can see when I bring that snare drum in, it just gives it a bit more crack, because here's how I've processed the mic'd up snare. A gate for both channels, and then some console stuff going on, bit of compression here. Same thing with the bottom mic, and then just a bit of tone shaping with the EQ to get it to sit where I wanted it to. So if you just have the sample by itself, and then add in the organic snare, just getting a little bit more crack. Rack drum, the toms, sorry. Let's see what these toms sound like. So again, some gating into some reverb. Now, what I like to do, that's interesting. I didn't do it properly this time. Wow. here you go, and seeing my mistakes. Normally what I do is I send the reverbs just on the bottom end using this splitter tool. You can split the frequencies and create your own multiband plugin essentially. And I normally just send the reverbs through the bottom end, but for some reason in this song I didn't. And yeah, just a bit more tone shaping there with the EQ for all of the tracks. I mean, with that, the reverb, it's doing its thing anyway. So very strange move that I didn't put those in the splitter. All right. Next we've got the hi-hats, just using this Vertigo VSS channel. Let me find a section of the song where the hats are going. Yeah, so that's mostly just EQ. There's no compression on that. It's just EQ. But I really like that channel strip. Then we've got our overheads. We've got the VSS. Some multiband into Soothe, some more EQ, and some more EQ again, adding some air at the end. So we'll bring those in one by one. The channel strip's doing most of the work here. That EQ is doing a lot of work there as well. Yeah, just giving it more body because I'm cutting out a lot of these tinny frequencies, cutting out some of that mid-range, and just bringing back some of the top end with that mag EQ. Next, we've got our room mics. Now, this is another move that I do when I'm mixing drums. I've got two different room mics, but they're different microphones. One's an SM7B and one is a UAD SD1, sorry. And you know, they're similar mics, but they're different. And so I use this EQ match in Pro-Q to get them to sound closer together. So I'll show you the difference with them off and on, with this Pro-Q off and on. So this is with it bypassed. So hopefully you can hear that difference. It's just matching the tone of the other microphone, getting it to sound like it's the same microphone essentially. And then we've got some EQ shaping. So let's bring these in one by one. Then we've got a channel strip. More tone shaping and a whole lot of compression. Bit more body with this EQ. And again, just cutting out some of that nasty frequency there in the mid-range, and then adding a little bit of depth with this IR Live reverb. Let's see what this does. So this is something I like to do with room mics sometimes. If they're too, because I've only got a medium room to record the drums in, that means that you can get a lot of transient information. If I point the microphones towards the wall or at the roof or something, you get less of that, but sometimes I like to point them straight at the drum kit. And using a really short reverb, you can soften the attack of the drums. And just by playing with this wet dry knob. So I'll show you with it full and I'll back it off to where I like it to sit. That's completely dry. All right, and here's about where I had it. So if I turn that off and on, you'll notice the difference. See how it kind of just places it in a bigger sounding room? So that's a cool move for reverb on drums, faking the space that you place it in. Then we've got this talkback mic. So anytime I have the drummer recording, I'll have them have a talkback mic so that they can communicate easier to us in the control room. And I use it as an extra mic on the kit because when they're playing, they're not talking to it. So it's capturing the sound of a drum kit, but you kind of get a little bit more kind of character, I guess, that you can add into the kit subtly. So this is what it sounds like without any plugins on. So I think I usually use an SM58. So it's like pretty decent sounding mic. This instance, you've got a bit of body, you've got a bit of brightness, and then I kind of get it to sit where I like. Have a listen to this. Compress the heck out of it and then add some tube saturation as well. Let's see what this does. Just cutting off all those peaks, those transients. So let's hear the drum kit soloed and I'll bring that in. So this is bypassed. Yeah, I'm like, it's getting a bit more roundness and fullness to the drum kit. If I really exaggerate the volume of that talkback mic, you'll see what I mean. So there you go. That's pretty cool drum sound. Not the sort of drum sound that I would normally do, but in the revision, they wanted more of like a raw drum sound. I had it very modern sounding, and they wanted it a little bit more raw. So I changed the snare drum, changed the kick drum, and got it to sit. It kind of blends in the mix a little bit more. Cool. Let's go through some of these other guitar sounds. Some unison bends here over the reintro. So without that in the first intro, you're just getting that punk chord progression, and I wanted to like elevate the level of the reintro, so I've got this unison bend thing going on. Just lifting that a little bit. Cool thing that happens here in the reintro after this section is kind of like a lead into the second verse, so check it out. And all I've done there is I've gotten them to, do a stab there with the drums and the bass, and then this guitar effect here. So it's panning from right to left, and then I've got this guitar amp on it, bit of console stuff going on, EQ, compression. I've got this filter that opens up, so watch this. So that opens up and causes that like filter effect there. And then I've got some of this, so this is a limiter, but it's got some cool harmonic distortion on it. So check this out. adds a bit of brightness, which I think is quite nice. And then this solo guitar tone here. Pretty cool. It's kind of got a bit of a slap back on it, which I like. So I'll just take you through that chain now. First of all, we have this rock rack. So I'll turn off that delay. Then I've got a chorus. Bit of reverb. Just pushing it back into its own space a little bit. Some more console stuff. Making it a bit sharper. The vac attack again. Bit of brightness there. Mix tool, just some gain staging there. Soothe. Really subtle, but just getting some of the whispery frequencies out. And again, here with the Pro-Q3, getting rid of some of those whispery frequencies that come through. And you might have noticed this move here. Just in that one section in the intro, the guitar was getting lost. It's just not as easy to hear that dun 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 dun. So I'll solo that frequency so you can hear exactly what I'm talking about. So that just gives you a little bit more thickness, and you can hear that that little riff that Mad Dog does. His nickname's Mad Dog. It's Isaac. All right, so then after that, I've got it sent to a delay. Just give it a bit of vibe. So I've got this kind of fluttery 16th note triplet thing going on with a lot of feedback. So it's kind of got a vintage sort of slapback sort of sound. And then some tone shaping with the console of that reverb, because here's without it. And here's with it. That's just getting it to sit in the mix a little bit nicer. So there you go. That's all of the guitars. A few more effects here. The bridge has this sweep in it. This is actually a suggestion during the recording. The boys suggested it. One of them, I couldn't remember who. Might have been Isaac. I think he suggested that. He wanted that just straight into the bridge because there's no crash cymbal. I think it was that was where his mind was going with that. So if you listen after the chorus going into that bridge. Don't care the reasons why. It's very subtle, but it's effective for sure. And then before the solo, I've just got a reverse crash. No God! No God! And a bass drop again here into the solo. Little production things. And then, yeah, we've got our vocals. So as you can see, we've got a few vocal tracks. The lead with the double throughout the whole song. It's a matter I don't recall. Just again, kind of giving it that 90s thing. They were double tracking heaps in the 90s, and it just adds that thickness and kind of character to the vocal. It's a matter I don't recall. Face speech, falsify it all. It really suits Cooper's vocals as well. Then we've got some harmonies all throughout the chorus. You blame me, but I'm gone.
Stuck around for too long. You bring me better gun.
They're pretty low in the mix. I think something happened where these gang vocals are actually too loud. I don't know what it is. It might have been a mastering thing or something, but if you listen to the finished product, they're not that loud. So these are the gang vocals. I've done some cool stuff here with the gang vocals. I've split the track into 3 different parallel channels, and I've got some pitch shifting on them. So if I turn these pitch shifters off and solo the gang vocal.
What's not true?
If we're adding in this, it's like, 2.63 semitones and 4.84 semitones. I'll turn those on. Listen to what it does to that gang vocal.
What's not true?
Just sounds like there's way more people than there actually is. And then some console stuff, a bit of compression, a lot of compression here, and some tone shaping, and then some more EQ.
What's not true?
So I'll turn that on one by one.
What's not?
I had RX10 on it because there was a lot of noise because I had to boost the level of the gang vocals, and I think it was an SM7, so there was a lot of noise.
What's not true? What's not true?
And pitch shifter.
What's not true? What's not true? What's not true? What's not true? What's not true?
So there you go, pretty basic stuff, but yeah. The lead vocal channel's pretty basic. I'm sending everything to a bus to kind of get it all to squash together. Just got some compression. This enhancer is really cool on the vocal bus. It just kind of squashes everything, and you can give it some shaping and some clipping and stuff just to get it to sit in place. Multi-band, Pro-Q, and some tape just to give it a bit of character. Yeah, pretty basic stuff on the lead vocal channel. Some EQ into RVox, into the X-Stressor, which is a distressor emulation. Fucking awesome plugin. De-essing. Console again. And then CLA to give it some parallel EQ and compression. And then I think I bring this harmonics saturation in, if it wants to load. There it is. Let's see where I bring that in. Bypass here. So it's in the verses, in the second verse by the look of things.
But now I can't look back.
Yeah, that's awesome. So turn that off.
But now I can't. But now I can't look back. But now
Yeah, you're just kind of giving that second verse a bit of vibe.
memories faded black. But now memories faded black.
Yeah, it's subtle, but soloed you can tell, but in the mix it's very subtle.
Memories faded black.
And that happens again in the bridge here.
I'm gone. Now I'm gone. Now
It's a bit more audible there. So there you go. That's pretty much all of it. Actually, I'll show you these delays and reverbs that I've got on the vocals. So on the gang vocals, I've got this reverb, which is, I've delayed it and then sent it. So this is like a pre-delay, sending it into this simple ambience finisher micro thing, and then just some tone shaping. So we'll bring that in, I'll turn it off, and then I'll turn it on. It's a nice little EQ there, and then this delay here, slap delay. I've got the slap on just the gangs, so I like to use this J37 tape because it's got this delay in it, but it's just a really kind of cool way to get your delay to sound cool. And I use this one pretty much exclusively for slap delay because you can distort it and stuff, and You can use high pass and low pass filtering. It just sounds kind of cool. So yeah, it's just a kind of a thin bit of a slap delay on the vocal. Pretty cool stuff. The main reverb on vocals is this Brainworx Aura, room setting, 1.4 second decay. Then I've got a mono delay going on, which is this delay plugin, Delay by 6 Sample. This is free and it's a really good plugin. You've got a few different like distortion algorithms and stuff. It's pretty cool. And then I also have this delay for when it hits the chorus. Let me show you that. So
You blame me, but I'm gone.
yeah, you can hear it there.
You blame me, but I'm gone. Stuck around.
I've got it kind of spread, and it's just a basic quarter note delay, but this thing does the job, this Brainworx thing, sending that through to a reverb, full mix to soften it. It just makes the delay a bit less obvious. So let me solo this so you can hear what's going on there. So with it off, yeah, so putting it through the reverb just gives it a little bit of space and makes it less obvious in the mix. Bit of EQ and some compression, sidechain compression. So this is just getting it to duck when the vocal's there, and when the singing stops, it blossoms. So it just gets out of the way of the mix when there's singing happening. Super subtle. It's like you'd have to have headphones on really to hear that lead delay, but it just adds a little bit of energy to the chorus. And that is the processing on the song Gone by Civilians. Apart from the master bus, actually, let's quickly go through this master bus. On the master bus, I've got this enhancer again, into some multiband, into some clipping, and into the SPL machine head. Let's bring those in one by one. So this is what the overall mix sounds like. This is just the music bus, by the way, not the full mix bus. It's just the music bus. So there you go. Very subtle stuff, but it all adds up. It all adds up. Hope you enjoyed this. Do that thing, like and subscribe if you feel that way inclined. Spread the word about my channel if you like what I do. But yeah, thanks for your time.